Welcome, everyone, to the third episode of This Is For Me, Girls Sath with Tarn and
Rampy, hello guys.
How have you been?
Yo, tired, running around like a crazy person. How about you?
The same, the shit show never ends.
I know, and it feels like as we're getting older, we sit around going, when we're young, we're like, oh, can't wait till we get older, this, that, whatever. Now we're here, we're like, I want to go back to those days where it was like a little bit more carefree because it seems like there's so much structure and so much to do now. But yet, you feel like you've accomplished nothing.
We try to have the best and most productive weeks, and we do the best that we can. And you know what? Put, it down to the point that you do what you can at the end of the day. Pat yourself on the back.
That's it. I can say one accomplishment this week is I started going back to the gym.
Good for you.
Holy moly. And am I feeling tired? Because I go super early, which I like because then all the machines are available. You can go, right? Still, somehow people end up right beside me on a machine. I'm like, there's so many machines in this gym. Why you choose the one right beside me? Because I get a little self-conscious there.
I understand. But hey, you know what? Good for you. It's a lot. I love morning workouts so much better than evening. But let's get into today's episode. I think it's going to be an interesting one. What is our topic for today, Rampy?
Today our topic is break.
This is our legal disclaimer. Please note that we are not medical professionals or licensed psychologists/therapists. Thoughts, opinions, and comments made within each episode are solely our own. If you require serious medical or psychological help, please consult a professional, as we are just two girlies trying to support the sisterhood of the shit show of what it could be to be a Punjabi girl.
Generational trauma.
Ooh.
And I can tell you that when I sat down and actually was like thinking about how do I want to look into it more, have some points, etc. It just made me start thinking a lot, and I was like, oh my gosh, because it goes into like, what does it actually mean? Like, where does it come from? And I think it affects us, but I'm gonna let you start off with it, and then I'll pipe in.
Okay, so I think it's really important when it comes to, breaking generational trauma to understand that, when it comes to our parents, it might be too late to change parents' way of thinking, in the sense that, they were brought up in a certain way and have tried to navigate the modern westernized world as the best that they can. But that doesn't mean that I'm saying, like, excuse their behavior all the time. It just means take their perspective into play, that, they are possibly, just having a hard time understanding that process. And, I think another thing is just every battle doesn't need to be a fight. Every battle that you have does not need to be a fight with them. You need to pick and choose your battles, and that's with everything. Pick and choose your battles. Overall, I think it's really important to take into account, because sometimes there's ones that you just need to let go and vent on by yourself or with like others, but not your parents or whatever, the issue is, because it's not always worth it. It depends, again, you have to pick and choose certain times where it is worth it for you. And it's okay to feel misunderstood and not heard. You have to acknowledge it to feel through the process, right? So you're going to feel that way. Breaking through this type of generational trauma, you're going to feel like shit. You're going to feel like the bad person. It is a part of breaking it, because you're going against the norm.
That's been set for such a long time. And I agree to your first point, and it took me a long time to get to that realization. And I think that we need to just kind of sit back and be like, instead of seeing them as parents and like putting them on that pedestal sometimes, remind yourself they're human, right? They have faults and flaws, and they make their errors and stuff. And just as much as we're growing and going through our experiences, as are they, even as our parents too. They didn't come with no manual that they know what they're supposed to be doing. They're honestly winging it as well. But we just can't tell. The way that they come off with the confidence and stuff, sometimes you feel like, oh yeah, what they're saying like makes sense and da-da-da and whatever. But, we're older, we're thinking of things ourselves, we have our own minds, our own experiences and stuff. And it's important to tie into that. But give them a break, because they don't know everything. And that's the honesty of life, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And never underestimate the power you hold right now of what you're doing. Like we said, our parents and their parents before didn't have the strength to break the cycle, but you do. You currently feel that you have the strength that you can deal with something that's going on, and you're like, you know what? This is toxic, or this is something I don't understand why my family does, or why we have this in our society, and why it keeps, going from generation to generation. And now you realize, I'm done with this shit. And I want to end it, and I want to change it for the better and for the positive for myself and those, going forward. Don't underestimate that power that you hold. Like I said, you're going to feel all sorts of emotions, but the power you're holding right now and your future generations will thank you. I personally have gone through it, still go through it. Doesn't mean you break through one barrier, it's not completely gone, right?
Yeah. It's a constant battle, constant fight.
I have my younger cousins and siblings that like I consider my younger cousins my siblings. Like that's just how I am. Like I'm the older sister in certain ways in my life, and I felt like I needed to help pave the path for them to make it easier with their parents and everything. As much as like sometimes you look back and you're like, I just want to live my life, but it's I look at them and I see, I'm glad you have those opportunities that I didn't have growing up.
Yes, agreed.
And I know they appreciate that, and that's why, I'm not even trying to boost myself, but I can confidently say that my younger siblings hold a lot of respect for me as their older sibling, as I do for you, Rampy, because you're my older sister, that, there's ways that we've paved paths for one another and just start there. And it's commendable how people do that for one another, because not everyone has that strength. So again, back to the strength, don't underestimate it, right?
Yeah.
And, an example of breaking through generational trauma as a brown girl, I think is really important to establish, because some people might not understand, what is this breaking through, generational trauma? It could be moving out as a brown girl. It might be moving out, right?
I think even moving out as a brown guy, I think it doesn't matter either or, because
just moving out
in general before marriage date, right? For a girl, and then for a guy, like heaven forbid, but I think there's a lot of different factors to look into it. And I think this society that we're always like, oh, what are people going to say? And I'm sitting here going, what people are around when you need them? Who's really there, right? So when we're all sitting here going, oh yeah, what are people going to say? What people? Who's around you? Who's really supporting you when you need them? So why would we care what they're going to say? Sorry, but that needs to change, that type of thing. And I've heard that my whole life. I'm like, what people? Who are these people?
Loki Gange.
Yeah, where are they?
Loki Gange is the biggest thing you'll hear throughout your life.
Like, what is the happiness for my kids and whatever? I just indulge.
What does my child want?
Yeah, and then we feel so like oppressed because we're like, oh, where are these invisible people that are watching us, right?
Absolutely. Another thing is, steering out of a career path not wanted by your parents, right?
My God. Yeah. You could go ahead. I'll tell you my part after.
Yeah. Seems like you got a little triggered there.
Yes, I did.
But yeah, like there's a lot of, people out there whose parents are like, doctor banenge, lawyer, something like that. Like there's like 3 or 4 that like the parents are always like, okay, they're gonna be that, and all that. Where, you know what, I will definitely say this for myself. I did not experience this. As much as there's all sorts of other traumas that I've dealt with in life, that have shaped me for who I am, right? And I don't try to play victim in that sense, because it is what it is. At the end of the day, life is life, right? Even though you have a shit show sometimes and you vent it out, but it's just life at the end of it, right? It shapes you. But I was very grateful growing up, in my family, that they were just like, whatever the career path I chose, they were just all for it for me. Like, I don't think I ever heard
don't do it.
Someone said, don't do it, whatever.
That's
even
good.
though it was within a path that is
not
what
understood.
they were, that is something that they understand to an extent.
Yes.
They were never like, oh, tu aakyo kar rahi hai, whatever, right? And I don't know if it's because I stood my ground always, but every little accomplishments that I made towards my career, I got a lot of positive, enjoyment from family in that
You're
sense.
like a straight shooter though. You're like, that's it, that's all, da da da. So I wouldn't be surprised that they were like, okay, let's not say anything, do your thing. Like I'm not surprised because, and also you have this like confidence about like you do like your research and stuff, and you know willingly will go into something. You're not like one of those, oh let's just see what happens, and you know you're like, no, I've done my work, I've done my background, and I know what I'm going into. So the reason I felt triggered was just because like that same like the whole time this that we've been told these three things, but once you start like working and getting out there, you're like, yo, there's so much more out there. And I can tell you honestly, like during my high school, college years, I never knew what I wanted to do. Never. I hate HR. I'm in HR now. Never cared about it. And sorry, I say HR, and I've been made fun of this because I say it. Remember, I'm from Quebec, right? So our alphabet and whatever is different. So you will see me saying different pronunciation sometimes, not much. And I don't have an accent, no, but I can speak it well. Anyways, so yeah, so that kind of came to me, and that's why I find it interesting because like we're supposed to have these career paths that are sought out for us, but over time it's like sometimes kids struggle so much to like do them study and stuff, and I used to struggle. Like I used to take different classes thinking, okay, I'll go into this, I'll go into that, and dude, I would be in the library till like 2 in the morning, weekends, weekdays, whatever, putting in the effort. And then when I see my remarks, I'm like, what is this, right? And I was like, that was my fun. Like I was going studying and stuff. I wasn't the partying person. Like I was actually one of those girls that when I said I was studying in high school, I'm sorry, in college, university, I was actually at the library. I was not like partying or doing anything like that. And still, like, I was struggling because there was no like passion, no ambition and stuff, and no like further what I wanted to do in life. And that's so important, is to have a sense of fulfillment. It's not going to guarantee you're going to get whatever job you're going to want, but the thing that our parents want us to do is succeed, and they feel that, okay, you got to finish your school and then only will you succeed and go somewhere. So I think even now in the generation that we're in and the way things are working, it's even more tougher because you go to them, I'm doing social media, what is that? You know what I mean? Like, or just going into photography, what do you mean? Especially the initial ones that probably started into it, the parents are saying, like, what are you doing, right? So that's even tougher now, but we're getting there. We're getting there.
It's funny you said that because today coming over here to record, I was like to my mom, I'll be back in like an hour. She's like, I was like, I'm going to Remy's house, right?
For
and
what?
she's like, I'm like, to record. She's like, can you record? How do I explain a podcast? Okay, remember how I had to try to explain to her my pottery class?
Yes.
Okay, I'm currently taking like 5-6 pottery lessons, okay,
nice.
classes.
So you're gonna make us some nice pottery gifts for Christmas?
It's not the type of pottery class that I thought it was gonna be, but that's a different episode to get into.
It's an experience.
But having to explain that to my mother was a different story, and my brother's in-laws were over, and it was just a hot mess, okay?
Why didn't you like just pull up a YouTube video? Here, I'm going here. Basta.
Then you gotta show your phone. My phone has too many things in there.
Take her phone.
Oh, the phone bada sona chalda na. She always complains. She's like, "Aap na phone nahi phedde ho. Mainu purana ditta hoya." I'm like, girl, you got the 12. I think that's still pretty decent. So do I. All right.
Yes, but how many features does she really use of the 12 though?
This girl uses social media. Trust me. I don't know which one she has, but I do not want to know.
I want to know. I'm gonna follow your mom.
You go follow your
mommy.
Yeah, go follow your mommy. I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
We have a few other famous relatives. You guys will find out about them later on that are over TikTok and Facebook and stuff. We'll get to that another day.
Anyways, this is a more very serious topic. We're laughing. Okay, back to the topic itself.
The podcast.
Yes.
Explaining it to her. Same.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to say it. I was like, online radio? Like, what do you say?
Online radio?
Self-made radio? I don't know. There's no ads or anything yet. But what else
would we have the Pizza Depot ad?
Who?
Do you remember that as a kid?
I remember that pizza when we used to come here. Everyone used to say, no, Pizza Depot's so good here.
Let me explain what I'm trying to say. So, anyone who grew up in Ontario, I don't know if this was in Quebec, but in Ontario, the 60 channel, Vision TV, Saturdays, okay? All the Punjabi TV shows broadcasting, okay? You'd have Des Perdesa, I think 10 o'clock, all that, okay?
I remember that,
right? I remember that on the 60 channel on Saturdays, they would have all sorts of commercials for all sorts of businesses. One was the Pizza Depot one, and it was just like, I don't even want to do it. It was like some singing thing, like, like they just had this whole song, so that's what I was thinking of. That like, oh, you're thinking we're gonna have like the Pizza Depot
I'm dead. I don't know.
commercial.
Maybe if we'll be lucky enough.
Yeah, yeah. I'll go
No.
into another funny story about the commercials another day involving my family.
So I don't even remember. Okay, so you will talk about these kind of things, and I don't know if my memories are where. I don't remember half of the shit that we saw or went through, but yet we saw so much growing
Yeah,
up.
both my
I don't remember
parents were in
anything.
commercials.
What? We have celebrities in this household.
Both my parents were in commercials that were on the 60 channel. All right?
One of my
Both, not just one. Both my parents.
No, my parents weren't famous like that. Sorry. All right, go ahead.
All right, I'm not going to go into the story
Another
now,
time.
another time. But yes, the last example that I wanted to address about breaking generational trauma that someone could possibly see is marrying outside of your culture.
Yeah.
That's also something that takes a lot of courage. It's not something that everybody wants to do. Like, hey, everyone has their preference, to each their own, right? Your person is your person at the end of the day, and if that's something you want to make work and that's for you, albeit, right? I'm all for it. But that is tough too. I've heard stories, and it's tough. But so I'm just like, kudos to you. Kudos to you for those who do it out there. That's all I gotta say on that.
I think it like depends because I think even you could like marry within your culture and you still could feel like you're like not married like within each other. Like growing up, I felt it was always easier to marry someone within the culture because I felt like you would understand each other and it would just make like they always say like the little things are what matters the most at the end of the day, especially when you're like with someone, right? So those are things that matter. So I was like, it'd be nice to like be going to be with someone who would understand those things that I went through when I was growing up because as kids who grew up here, it's a different whole concept, journey, whatever you want to call it. It was really different. So I always felt like having that kind of thing in cultural background just made it easier for like a day-to-day life. But I don't know. I just think like even sometimes that also could be something that could be looked into too. I don't even think it matters if you're within a different culture. I think as long as you have like that mutual respect for each other and whatever your percentage of faith, religion, whatever you want to call it, as long as you respect one another's and you're okay with it and you have had those conversations, you're good to go. Like
Yeah,
that's what it
yeah.
is.
And there's pain that has moved through families that is a huge contributor. No one decided to try to heal the pain until you came along.
Yes.
I think I had read this somewhere and I had to write it down because it's true. There's a lot of pain that has traveled, which lead with the generational trauma, right? A lot of pain has traveled through generations, parents, all that, and it's you decided to break it to heal.
And that's what we forget to we forget. So we forget that like our parents' generation has been through a lot. Then one of the main things that they went through was the whole 1984 thing. I'm going to touch upon it because we're both of, I may be misaligning this, but we're both of the Sikh cult religion. And our parents were in India when it was happening. My mom wasn't. I believe my mom was here, but my dad was there. However, that still caused a lot of grief issues and stuff, and that on essentially is one of the most like traumatic things that happened for our religion altogether because there you were living accepted for who you are and then suddenly it's like you're hunted down. Why? Because of your religion? Like that's insane.
It's genocide they dealt with.
Yes, so that was in 1984. We'll maybe touch about it another day, but and then what happened from that, I think as well, what led to it was people were leaving then because there was like not a sense of security anymore. And so first they went through that, which is like a whole big thing, and that affects you. That causes you to have that. The start of the trauma could potentially be from that, which could have affected our grandparents, our parents, whoever. Then they started leaving and coming here, and I feel, even though it may not be such a traumatic experience, coming here at that time in the 80s, 90s, 60s, 70s, that was a big deal. That was a big deal. Coming to a place where like you're not accepted at all. People look at you, laugh at you if you're wearing a turban and stuff, don't want to understand, lack of education, whatever it is. They weren't respected then. Now there's a lot more culture and following, but then that also caused like a huge traumatic, or I would think a lot of trauma for a lot of people, and hence they tell us to become doctors and lawyers. because of the experience that they went through. And we have to give kudos to our parents for going through that and still like functioning today. I think like if we went through that, I don't know if we'd make it, to be honest, like through everything they've gone through.
Right, right. And touching on that, I think I also wanted to mention, parent relationships can be difficult to navigate for, again, just numerous reasons, but understanding how to navigate it is really important, right? Because there are certain traits that might come up. Yes, our parents have gone through a lot, and we did say, it is something that should be accounted for and just taken into consideration.
Mm-hmm.
But also, there are parents out there, unfortunately, that just have really negative traits. And I just want to make that known too, because sometimes someone might say to you, like, hey, honestly, I see what you're trying to say, but why? Like, there's just a lot of other stuff that, like, my parents have done. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what I'm trying to say in that sense,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like, we're trying to rationalize it here to kind of give you both ends of the story,
Mm-hmm.
but also there are individuals who it's just that one side. It is what it is. They are gaslighting, they are toxic, but that is something, again, you have to figure out how to navigate. And it's unfortunate that um there are kids out there, children, like people out there who do have parents like that. It does suck. It does suck. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard of stories, growing up. And uh I think, you still should try to see if there's something that they've dealt with that led to this,
Mm-hmm.
right? To see how you can navigate it to the best of your ability and create peace and positivity between your relationship.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy repairing a relationship. It takes time. Sometimes you're going to be like, screw this, I'm done. But when you start to repair it a bit by bit, there's a little bit of shanti and sukoon that you get from knowing that, there's that,
I
like,
tried,
yeah,
or I'm
there's there I
trying.
tried, or I'm trying, or like I like, or someone will notice actually that there's a difference between your relationship with you and your parent. People notice a lot of things, and people make note of those things, and it's crazy when someone will say to you, right? Like, let's say someone close to you is going to be like, you know what? I feel like your relationship with your parent has been getting better.
Mm-hmm.
And to you, you are like, yo, I'm doing so much trying to make it better. And when you
Mm-hmm.
hear that, you're like, that is all I needed to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Or you also notice it yourself, right? So, um, sometimes you might want to call out their shit.
Which is
Trust me,
fine.
which it happens. Listen, it does happen, especially when you get to like your mid to late 20s, when you're an adult, a
Mm-hmm.
proper adult,
Mm-hmm.
okay? You do know quite a bit of your life. Lots of us are independent. We don't really rely on a lot of things from our parents. We do rely on them overall as family members and
Yeah.
support. But sometimes you do, like, there's a learning for them too, and there's learning for us. So realize, again, pick your battles properly. Don't just pick some random ass thing where you're like, dal nahi kaddi fridge jo, and this is the one you wanted to pick a fight for. That is probably not the one, but there's probably a bigger one. But and at the end of it, honestly, that I have left to say from my end is, when you're breaking through this trauma, it also ties into loving yourself and knowing your worth.
Yes.
So don't forget that.
Big time.
Don't forget that. I think you had said about me in particular that, like, you stand your ground and all that, because I learned a long time ago, I didn't love myself.
Mm-hmm.
It took a very long time to get to the point I am. I do get that often,
Mm-hmm.
that, like, you hold yourself in a certain way, you do all this, and I always say, I'm like, I worked on it.
Mm-hmm.
I did all the work I needed to. Doesn't mean it ends, but like, I might have not been the same person that I am now
Mm-hmm.
that I was as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I know anytime I reflect back to myself as a young girl,
Mm-hmm.
that young girl would be amazed to see who I am today.
That's good.
It's just because I know what I put into myself, right? So, yeah, just know that there's going to be a lot of emotions and things like that. So just be aware of that. And it's okay. Just take it easy, sweetie. Like, don't feel like, sometimes it might feel like the whole world is on your shoulders. Like, screw this. Like, why is this happening? Why aren't my parents understanding? Why is this happening? Why are family members getting involved into my shit? Like, that is just how they grew up. Sucks. It sucks. They don't know better. But and like, it's a lot of our parents may not be as educated, know about mental health, know about these things, but you know better. You know how to navigate. You grew up in a westernized society, most
Mm-hmm.
likely. You learned about these things. You have a lot more tools and resources than they do. Yes, it sucks. I'm not going to deny that. Yeah, what they're doing to you or what's going on in your life sucks, but take in that you have the strength to actually do something about it, well, they don't understand that because they don't have that strength in them because like there's some of them out there who aren't going to, ever figure that out for themselves. Like, especially, let's say, like a grandparent, right? It might be too late to really try to create a change like that. Like, it might seem, oh my God, I need to create a big, drastic change. They might be too late. Doesn't mean that I'm saying that your grandparents are terrible people. I'm just saying that there's certain things that let's say, like sometimes you'll talk to your grandparents like, Minwa Sanjani lagi, like, why are you talking about this? Because they're in their old ways, right? Your parents
Yeah.
do have a bit more of,
But they might not be willing to understand or change.
Just know it's gonna be a journey. Don't give up on yourself. Have your support system, your team around you, and we're here for you too, right?
Yeah.
This is what this is about. So, take it easy. If you need to go get some McDonald's and feed your soul,
just do it.
Go do it.
You definitely need to.
Go do it. Try their spicy chicken nuggets. They're really good.
Yes. Because you can start, now is you starting the healing journey for all this generational trauma that the families have gone through, you may have gone through, or etc. So, although you may feel a ways or feel like you're not making it somewhere, you just acknowledging it and trying to work on it and make those changes because you see some things, you're like, hey, I don't want to have this go on to my kids or whatever, because you have that awareness for yourself. That's the change that you've started already. So that's a really great thing to see. And no one's coming from a vicious cycle. No one's against you. Although, yes, it seems sometimes like, as Tarn mentioned, the whole world is, but it's not. Just sometimes you have to get yourself away from a situation and just go for a walk.
Also know that what Rampy had said about acknowledging it, that's the first step. You already took the leap and now fall into the healing and breaking through.
And it's not easy, just as like when you're doing self-work, and it requires a lot of time and effort, and you have to continuously keep trying and going and working on it. And like they say, you see those motivational pictures and quotes, right? It's not just like a steady slope up. You have to go up and down, up and down, up and down. This is the same concept, but as long as you are making those efforts, conversations, trying, you will come out to be the better person for it.
Yeah, and I personally am afraid of heights and I hate roller coasters and all that, but this is the only roller coaster that I will take for the rest of my life. Okay? Because it's the one that's going to...
I wanted to take you to Wonderland. I'm kidding.
I will go when you have kids, and I will be the Masi who takes the kids to little things.
On the little teacups and stuff that spin around. Woo!
So a couple of years ago, side note, I took, we all went to Wonderland, right? Like, a bunch of us. And some, like, cousins were visiting from BC, right? And one of them, he's afraid of heights. Everyone else is like, oh, we're going to go on the Behemoth. We're going to go on this, whatever. Is it the Yukon Striker? All these, right? And I'm just like, I will hold all your stuff. And he's like, I don't want to go either. I'm like, so you know what I did? I took him to the arcade next door. I'm like, John, here's the card. I bought you a little card. You can go, we went, we spent an hour, and they all came back super happy, and so were we. Win on both ends.
I love it.
I'm going to be that person. I'm going to be that parent.
Good. I haven't gone on roller coasters in a long time. I want to go. But now when I go on them, the whole body just hurts. So there's something I gotta work on there.
You need to go to a chiropractor.
No, I already do, actually. No, I think I have to just, I'm not very flexible. I gotta work on that. But anyways. So yeah, as Thorne mentioned, we'll probably come back to this, I think, later on. But that's our beginnings.
Yeah, it's a lot to digest in one episode, so I think it's just better to leave it at where it's at today. I hope listening to this, for those who are dealing with it right now, you feel like you're being heard, and I know you could feel misunderstood. I know it sucks, and I know you think that you're the black sheep or all those sorts of emotions. Just know that you can come out at the other side feeling so much more happier.
We've gone through it. We know. And we're still going through it. And we probably will for a while. Sorry, Mom, Dad, guys. You know it's true, though.
But yeah, just, and especially because this topic is not just a one-time topic.
No, it also ties into, we're probably going to talk about soon, is, what is it? Older girl syndrome? Older daughter syndrome? There you go. Yeah. That one especially.
So yeah, submit to our Reddit, our Instagram, our email if you want us to address something specific, because you know what, we want to help you all out, and it helps us along the way too. we think about certain things that we may not have thought about, that maybe we should really consider when it comes to this healing journey for ourselves. But that's it from my end. Anything else to add, Rampy?
I forgot last time, but I'm going to leave us with a quote this time, which I think ties into our whole topic, which is, "Be there for others, but never leave yourself behind," by Dodinsky. Dodinsky? I'm very bad. I think that's the name. Is it Dodinsky?
Dodinsky.
There you go. So, yeah, ties into do the work, and you can only be there for others as much as you can, but you're not responsible for healing them. That's on them. You're only responsible for what you can do for yourself. So don't hold yourself to that. Oh my god, I have to fix this person. You don't. As long as you're doing it for yourself, that's already really, really great. So have a great rest of your week, and we will be in touch next time. Bye.
Bye.